The Heroes and the Hidden by Kirikwat, Hanu 3. Episode 44. Chapter 38. But I Trust You. A joint training simulation? Endeavor asks, his flames practically lighting the paper he holds on fire. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The HSPC commissioner shakes her head, tapping the pen on the table. Your rating is dropping because of how you work with others, Endeavor. You need to learn to fix that. Endeavor scoffs, throwing the paper on the table. I'm not a student. I am the number 2 hero. He stands up, but the click of a pen makes him stop. I can easily drop you down, at least to number 9, but I might be able to push it to 10. She says, as Endeavor turns around, his flame shooting out in anger. You're going. Endeavor tisks, picking up the slightly singed paper, barely glancing over it. I have the next number 1 to train. He argues, clenching the paper in his hand. The HSPS commissioner smiles, gesturing to Shouta, who sits in his civilian clothes, a tight-lipped grin on his face. This is Eraserhead, an underground hero that has been tasked with watching the children of heroes participating. Shouta raises a hand in greeting. Endeavor's face turns bright red as he yells. How do you expect an incompetent excuse for a hero to watch over my heir? He can't even make it to the charts! Shouta's grin makes Endeavor even more pissed. It is done, Endeavor. You will meet here tomorrow at 5 with your son. She dismisses him early. He stomps like a toddler and leaves the room, slamming the door behind him. She turns to Shouta, a serious look on her face. Give me the card now, she orders, handing out her hand. Shouta chuckles, pulling the card from his pocket and placing it in her hand. Signed, Midnight Special Edition Collector's Card, freshly laminated. He pushes himself off his chair, tying up his hair in a bun. She grins, flipping the card around before carefully placing it in her desk drawer. Why do you even want his kid? She asks, shutting the drawer gently. I thought all this just for you? Shouta shrugs, adjusting his cuff and opening the door. That's for me to know. He shuts the door as she shrugs, getting back to her work. Hitoshi frowns as Aizawa steps into the playground, Todoroki in tow. He had met the kid briefly at the Hero Kid thing, but his dad had grabbed him and pulled him out soon after, barely managing to keep hold of a single crayon. Hitoshi did not like the boy's dad. The number 2 hero was a piece of flaming trash, even in just temperament. People who scream like that were never good. But after meeting Izuku and reading through his notebook, he had seen just how much of an asshole his dad was. The number of civilian casualties he had caused was in the high triple digits, and he hadn't learned anything. The amount of property damage he had done was even higher. He burnt buildings on the regular, never controlling his firepower. Sure, the number of actual saves made him the number 2 hero, but Izuku thought that much of that was simply the sheer power he had. The HPSC wanted him as one of the main faces. He glared at the bastard's son, trying to understand why Aizawa would bring him on their day together, especially paired with Kaminari and Ida from that Saturday. Todoroki smiled sheepishly, waving at him. Hitoshi rolled his eyes and returned to watching Izuku play with the other 2 boys. Aizawa tapped him on the shoulder, making him look up. Apologize for being rude, he commanded with a frown. Hitoshi scoffed. Why should I? His dad is awful. Aizawa opened his mouth to say something, but Todoroki steps forward. He's an asshole, he says bluntly, Aizawa hiding his grin in his scarf. Hitoshi stares at the boy before nodding and grinning. You're not like him, right? Hitoshi asks, glancing back at Izuku to make sure he's okay. He hadn't seen anything like he saw that day at school. Izuku never showed any signs of being a monster. He never saw claws or sharp fangs, no fur or tail. It was frankly confusing. Izuku had never talked about it afterwards, even when he woke up in a cold sweat during their naps, muttering something about a monster. He didn't want to see that again, so he always made sure to watch Izuku, protect him from whatever happened that day. Todoroki frowned, shaking his head, amiably. No, I'm going to become a hero without using his quirk. Hitoshi snorts, covering his face. That's stupid. It's not his quirk. He says bluntly, crossing his arms as Aizawa walks over to the two heroes who watch Ida and Kaminari. Shouta turns to him, just looking. Hitoshi shrugs, shaking his head in amusement. Sure, he might have been the one who passed the quirk on, but is he the one who uses it? Who controls it? Your quirk is cool. Own it. Shoto shakes his head, the wheels turning. So you mean that it's mine, not my old man's? But he says he gave it to me. That's why he married my mom. Shoto turns fully towards him, looking down at his hands. Hitoshi simply shrugs, continuing to watch Izuku. Sounds like a shitty home life. But I could beat you, though. He dares with a small smile. See these scars? He asks, gesturing to his cheeks. Foster homes. Multiple. Shoto grins slightly, covering his burnt eye with one hand before removing it. My mom burned me. Thought I looked like the old man. Hitoshi chuckled, smiling a bit more. Still think I won, but we'll leave it there. He looks over to Shoto, who grabs his hand. Let's go play instead of watching. Shoto drags Hitoshi forward, towards the other kids. Izuku smiles and waves as Hitoshi approaches. There's no monster there. Hizashi welcomes Shouta with a kiss, making his face flare up. Damn his cute boyfriend. He's still getting used to the fact that they were actually together. He had had a crush on the loud blonde since their second year of high school, and he despised that fact. He thought he had done an excellent job of disguising his stupid infatuation, but it seemed that everyone was figuring it out. Hell, a 9-year-old had predicted that they would date before he or Hizashi did. Have a good day, kids? Hizashi asked, handing Shouta a cup of coffee before following the kids into the living room. He had been napping from the way his hair was braided, pieces hanging out and covering his face adorably. Oh, he said, startled at the other hero, who sat on the couch, admiring her son draw. Who are you? He asked, setting the kids' juice boxes on the table, frowning at the fact that he didn't have another one for the visitor. Elytra smiles kindly, sending Kaminari on his way. I'm a pro hero, don't worry, she says softly, standing up and offering her hand to Hizashi. Hizashi shakes it, still bewildered. They might be pros, but there were 100 of heroes currently working, and patrols didn't tend to overlap between cities. Hero name is Elytra, but just call me Naka. Aizawa invited me and my son over to play with yours. Hizashi nodded before pointing back to the kitchen. Do you want me to grab some coffee or tea? He offers, setting his tea on the table. She shakes her head and then pauses, reconsidering. Do you have any more juice boxes? I'm sure Dinky would love one. Kaminari looks up at his name, turning to the adults. He was curiously in the process of rambling about a quirk to Izuku, who scribbled everything down. Do you want a juice box, kid? Hizashi asks, already starting to walk back to the kitchen. He nods ecstatically, running around and grabbing Hitoshi and Izuku's juice boxes before running back and handing them to the kids. Shouta sighs as his boyfriend walks out of the room to procure another juice box. How old is your kid? He asks, gesturing to Kaminari. Elytra grins, leaning back in her seat. He is 9 currently, but turns 10 come June. She frowned slightly, shaking her head. I remember just yesterday him getting his quirk and shortcutting for the first time. What do you miss about them growing up? She asked, unknowingly. Hizashi walks into the room and hands Kaminari a juice box, smiling sadly. They're actually words of ours. We haven't had them for too long. He sits beside Shouta, who leans against his shoulder. They aren't even officially ours yet. It's all wrapped up in a police case. He says, waving his hand around. Alecho grasps, watching the two boys play. Are you able to talk about it, or is it still ongoing? She asks quietly, keeping her voice low so the kids don't overhear. Shouta can see how Hitoshi's glaring at them from over Kaminari's bright yellow hair, though he has grown overprotective of Izuku, refusing to be separated from him unless forced. He threw a tantrum every time Kayama went to go take Izuku home. I don't mean to pry, she adds, realizing how she sounded. Shouta shrugs, playing with his boyfriend's braid. I believe the case is closed. Izuku's mother was killed by a villain about a year prior, and Hitoshi had been in the foster system since he was 4. He said plainly, not bothering to censor himself. She was a hero, meaning she had to deal with similar for years. We're very glad that they managed to make friends with your son. It's all she added as Izuku shuts his notebook and jumps up, slipping on his jukebox. Can I show Kaminari Hitoshi's room? He asked, his hair messy and a slight grin playing over his face. He really was an adorable kid, even if he still didn't look perfectly healthy for his age. Hizashi looks over at Elytra who shrugs, before he turns back to Izuku. You can, but keep the door open, okay, kiddo? Izuku nods, grabbing Hitoshi and yanking him up from the floor, bouncing into the boy's room. Elytra sighs, rubbing at her eyes. They really are just kids. Sometimes I wonder how my career will affect Denki. Shouta and Hizashi nod knowingly, agreeing with her. Okay, I was expecting, I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting, but this was not it. You know, I was expecting a little more sad, I guess. You know, I wasn't expecting it to be so upbeat, is what I'm trying to say. Or not upbeat, but I was expecting more angst. This is not a welcome to more angst. I am glad it was not angsty. I am very glad it was not angsty. Thank you very much. Jesus Christ. Chapter 38 is called But I Trust. No, this is the one we did right now. I have to go to the next chapter. There you go. Chapter 39 is called And I Can't Wake Up. Anyways, I don't have much to say in this one, other than I'm glad they have friends now. We love that. We love that. Socialization, we love it. We love it. Hitoshi caring after Izuku and worrying after Izuku and worrying that Izuku will become the monster again. Yeah, that tracks for what they've been through. That heavily tracks. I don't have much to say. I'm in a very non-say things. I'm trying to pre-record some videos so that at least get 2 up and going. Like I already have 4 videos up in the sense of 4 videos. Well, this is actually gonna be my 5th, but of Backbone, so that I could take little mini breaks. It used to be like a whole week, but then I took a really big break, and that deplenished so fast. I want to go up to 2 weeks. I want to go a little bit more after I have 2 weeks and I've maintained 2 weeks for a significant amount of time. I want to then try to start recording 2 videos a day and seeing how plausible that is. And after doing that, and I notice, okay, that is very much plausible, start posting 2 videos a day. So you guys are going to be getting a lot more posts. Daily posts are cool and all, but I would love to get back to my 4 videos a day. Every single day. For those worrying about me, because I do have 2 jobs, don't worry, I'm taking it at a slow pace. It's why I didn't go straight into 4 videos a day. I know that's not plausible for me right now. I haven't gone back into that room, the group, and I don't know with my free time or not, you know. Technically I have no off days where I would be like, oh, well, I'll just record everything I need to on that day, or at least a lot of what I need to on that day, you know, kind of situation. So, yeah. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.